Generally speaking, I'm a pretty outspoken guy and I love tube amps. They're one of my favorite things in the entire world. I advocate for people learning how to properly mic them up, to create all sorts of unique sounds in their own space using them. But every once in a while, something comes along and suckers me in and makes me think, you know what, maybe I should give something that's not a tube amp a try. And that's how we landed at this guy. Today's video, I'm just going to be going over some of the reasons why I was interested in the Helix Stadium, as well as what my initial thoughts are after using it for a little bit. For context, I'm going to provide a little bit of my background with both analog and digital gear. When I first started playing guitar in the 1990s, we didn't have any of this stuff. The only way that you could record a guitar, we'd go into a studio, you mic up a tube amplifier. That was it. Once in a while, maybe you plug right into the console and we get reamped later, but there were no workarounds, there were no plugins worth using, there was nothing, at least that I can remember, that anybody would professionally want to use. And to me, that's just how I grew up, and I've always had an affinity for tube amps. The majority of the demos that you guys watch on this channel, the overwhelming majority as a matter of fact, are one of these amplifiers that's behind me or potentially one that's off screen, being mic'd up by either one or two microphones. I find it to be an art form. I love doing it, and it just feels right to me. It wasn't until 2010 that I decided to give digital modeling a really fair chance. The 11 rack was released and everybody was absolutely raving about it, and it made so much sense. It wasn't just about, look at all the sounds I can do. It was marketed in a way as, if you're a studio musician, this is going to provide you everything you need. And I was doing a lot of session work at the time. The place I was living in Orlando, Florida, was nothing like this. The walls were paper thin. I had neighbors on pretty much every single side of me. So being able to plug into the rack, plug into a session, track some stuff down, have it sound really good, have a DI running at the same time so it could be reamped if I wanted to do that, or reamp using the 11 rack itself. I love the idea of it, and it functioned pretty well. I remember that the Vox that they had in that was surprisingly good. In the meantime, after that, I tried almost everything. I tried one of the earlier Kempers, I tried the Helix, I tried the HX Stomp, I tried the Quad Cortex, I tried the Nano Cortex, and I've tried the Tonex. This is the latest one that I've had before stepping into the Stadium here. So after buying and selling all that digital gear except the Tonex that I still have, what made me want to come back to Stadium? Why was this different? To me, it reminded me so much of how I felt when I first saw what the 11 rack was being released, because it felt like something that was going to solve practical problems for me in multiple different usage cases. But almost equally as important, my perspective changed. I stopped looking at digital gear as digital gear. Now when I look at Stadium, I think of it the same way that I look at the Princeton. It's just an avenue. It's a tool that I can use to sculpt and make certain sorts of sounds. Is it always going to be able to replace a Princeton? No, but will the Princeton be able to replace everything that the Helix can do? No, it's not going to be doing that either. So to me, it's just another tool to the arsenal. And I think when you take the goggles off, because honestly, outside of the actual feel that you get from playing a tube amplifier through the combo, in the room, moving the air, you're never going to replace that with something like a Stadium. I don't care how close you get as far as the sound goes. That feel thing is just its own vibe. But the important stuff, the workflow stuff, the quality of life stuff that you get out of this, to me, it was absolutely worth the money. But the Stadium does do a pretty good Princeton impression. And the thing about Stadium is it has a place in almost every situation. You want to go out and gig, this will make your life and the front of house engineer's life a whole hell of a lot simpler. You want to play at home, that's great. You can use some of the amps that you already have. Doesn't matter if they're solid state or if it's an FRFR or a tube amp. You can run through the effects loop or even a 4-cable method if you want to do that. If you're working on a song and you want to do some tracking, you can use this as your interface to connect into your favorite DAW of choice, whether it's Pro Tools, Logic, or whatever have you. And then if you just want to practice at home without bothering anybody with no volume, you can play through headphones to your heart's content and you're not going to upset anybody. Something else I love about Stadium is the UI. I got used to working in Helix native and I know my way around HX Edit pretty well, but they weren't always my favorite. I hate reading things in numerical terms with little graphs going around. It's just, it doesn't feel very creative to me and it's not a process I like. And there's a lot of great modelers out there where you can dial things in a similar way, but I never had great success with it and I found myself wasting so much time just in the menus. Little time that I had to play guitar I was wasting in the freaking menus. But with Stadium, with the new focus view mode on it, it brings up something on a touch screen that's going to mimic exactly what you're working on, whether it's a different pedal or an amplifier, and it's so much more intuitive. It just feels more natural. It's quick to make changes and little adjustments on the fly, change out a microphone for a different sort of microphone on a cabinet, and just get back to playing. And to me, that is amazing because, again, it takes what little time I have to do this sort of stuff, and it makes me be a little bit more efficient with it. On top of that, the fact that I can run a DI track, use this as an interface. I don't even need to go into the Apollo if I don't want to, but I can run 2 tracks in stereo straight out. I can run one of the outputs in here into the Tonex. You're going to be seeing kind of behind the scenes shot of what this looks like right now. And it's just going to make my workflow, not just for my own professional work, but for YouTube, so much simpler. And while obviously this isn't the first piece of gear that's going to be able to let you do those things, but to me, this is the one that I feel like I'm in at the ground floor. I trust Line 6 as a company. They stand behind their products. They offer support. They offer updates. And it sounds and performs incredible out of the box. So I'm really excited to see where it goes in the future. And just out of my own personal curiosity, I used the Stadium on 2 other videos that I posted. I didn't say what I was playing through. Nobody said anything. They just assumed maybe that I was using the amps because that's typically what I would use. And that tells me I'm good to go as far as nobody really telling the difference or caring anymore. And that's the other thing. We nitpick so much when it comes to the sounds that we like to play from our guitars, the guitars that we like to play and all this. And this is better than that. And yeah, sometimes it's a little bit valid and you can be a little bit objective, but I think the takeaway that I would like you to have is to maybe just look at things a little bit differently. Don't just look at things as strictly digital versus analog. You can find ways that both can work really great for you in different sorts of situations, because it really can, and it can provide you with so much versatility. You can have everything that you could possibly ever need at your fingertips, as simple or as complex as you want as far as the routing goes. Or on other days, not as many people around, you crank up a tube amp, and that's going to give you a totally different kind of slice of life. And that's kind of the beauty of all of this. It's always fun to mix things up. But that's going to do it for today. All I really wanted to do is give you some of my first impressions that I've been having using the Helix Stadium, as well as some of the reasons why I even went and I got it to begin with. If you're interested in checking one of these things out, they're now shipping at Zounds, and if you hurry, if you're watching this before Christmas, you can get one in time if you're maybe a little bit quick about it. Thank you for watching today's video. For questions, comments, and or concerns, potentially requests you want to see this compared against some of the other gear that we have, whether it's digital or analog, let me know down there. But outside of that, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Take it easy, everybody.